Education Minister, will be addressing the nation, Dr. Yao Osei-Duchum, this morning, and he will be dealing with how he has handled the educational sector since assuming office. Let's listen in.
For the life of our educational minister, thank you that you have anointed his head with oil. We thank you for the life of Honorable Yao Osei-Duchum. What shall I render unto the Lord if not for his knowledge, his wisdom? Lord, continue to bless him. He has the vision for the Ghanaian children. He has a vision. Thank you, O Lord, that he had paved the way for Ghanaians to actively participate in the fourth industrial revolution. Father, we thank you that he had learned and taught us as a nation that we cannot memorize our way through poverty. But Lord, through critical thinking and innovation, we can come out of poverty as a nation. Thank you that we are liberated. Thank you for the life of the Deputy Ministers of Education. Thank you for the Directors of Education. Lord, I mention especially my Director General, Dr. Eric Nkansa, and his deputies. Father, we thank you for what they are bringing forth, what they are bringing on the table for education. Father, we thank you that you have taught us to solve tomorrow's problem today. Lord, we thank you for anyone who is in one way or the other connected to education. We thank you for heads of schools. We thank you for teachers. We thank you for parents. We thank you for students. That, Lord, you continue to show us your glory. We bless you this day. We honor you. We know you to be a prayer answering God. So we call for resources from the north, the south, the east, and all over the west to abound to us in education. We give you glory, Lord. We give you honor. We give you adoration. We know you are a prayer answering God. In Jesus' mighty name we pray with thanksgiving. Amen. Shall we be seated?
Now, this is the first time I've heard people clap after a prayer. And it's actually a sign of the kind of prayer we had. A powerful one for that matter. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you very much, Mrs. Rejoice Ekuya-Akolo, who is headmistress of Laboni SHS. Thank you very much for that. And we now go for the welcome address, which will be done by Member of Parliament for Asin South and Deputy Minister for Education, Reverend John Intim Fojo. Let's welcome him with a round of applause.
The erudite Minister for Education, Dr. Yao Osei-Duchum, the Chief Director, Mrs. Mamle Andrews, the Country Director of UNESCO, our development partners, Nananom, Nime, Name, heads of agencies at Ministry of Education, our directors, our teachers, our gallant men and women, members of the noble profession, our brilliant and talented students, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be here on behalf of Dr. Osei-Duchum, the Minister for Education, to welcome you all to this great platform, Address on the State of Education in Ghana, an opportunity to present the great strides and a massive transformation in education that has swept across the entire country, an opportunity for us to take stock, an opportunity for us to recognize the collective efforts that all of us as a country and as a nation, for the past 7 years, we've been able to champion on the front of education. There are many narratives that some others may want you to see, but today you are going to have the true picture and have the full picture of the great transformation that we have seen across. The past 7 years has seen massive investment into education. And I've had the privilege of joining the ministry this past 3.5 years. And I've had the opportunity of working with a fantastic and visionary minister, Dr. Yao Osei-Duchum, and who, to him, the passion and the drive to make sure that education is done the 21st century way, and every child is given the opportunity and supported to realize their dream and empowered to be able to meaningfully contribute to education is very much on his shoulders. He has led the charge. The vision of His Excellency the President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia have resonated very well with the Minister for Education. And he has led all of us at Ministry of Education and agencies, together with our development partners, to ensure that we put in heavy investment that is creditable, an investment that is making transformations in every community, in households, and at the aggregate level as a country, repositioning our education system to be responsive in a way that will empower the critical mass of our people to have the skills to make a difference both at home and abroad. The past years, we've seen great initiatives that have tackled every aspect of our education system, right from pre-primary, primary, JHS, SHS, TVET, and tertiary, even to encompass complementary education. And so today, we are going to witness the massive transformation that we all have contributed, with Dr. Yawose Aduchum leading the charge. And we all are going to be able to be proud to celebrate what we have been able to achieve as a country. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are all aware and fully appreciate, no country can meaningfully develop without the meaningful role of education. Regardless natural resources endowments, regardless oil, gold, diamonds, and timber that may be found in any particular country, the only surest way to be on a path of rapid socio-economic development is to invest and invest rightly into education. There have been occasions where World Bank, UNESCO have had some projections on certain key aspects of education outcomes for the entire sub-region and for low-income countries. Today, we are going to pitch evidence that are contrary to the general projections and to show how Ghana is leading the charge in the sub-region and how Ghana is standing tall on this continent in key areas, which I will not go into specificity, but soon we will have the Minister for Education, Dr. Yawose Aduchum, giving us evidence-based and a very credible presentation, together with all the relevant team, for us to know that we have come from somewhere. We have had massive strides in our education transformation, and what left to be done, we are still on course. So we thank you so much for coming to celebrate the great things this country has achieved on the front of education in the past medium term, and as part of our commitment to ensuring that we raise a Ghana that is prosperous, a Ghana that has their people empowered, a Ghana that no child is left behind, a Ghana full of opportunity, a Ghana full of relevant skills. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister for Education, Reverend John Intim Fojo. And very soon we'll be having a spoken word performance by Marvelous Anna of Wesley Grammar School. Very soon she will be joining us. Marvelous will be joining us. But before Marvelous joins us, I'd like to introduce some dignitaries who are here with us this morning. The Deputy Minister for Works and Housing, Dr. Prince Hamid Amma, is here. Just show us by wave. Dr. Prince Hamid Amma, thank you very much for joining us. We also have David Pra, who's Deputy Director of the TVET service, here with us. David, thank you very much. Dr. Fred Che Asamoah, Director, CODVET, is also here. If we can just see you, thank you very much. We have Mrs. Mamle Andrews, who is Chief Director of the Ministry of Education. Dr. Eric Nkansa is Director General of the Ghana Education Service. Mrs. Mavis Asare Donko is Director General Administration. Very Reverend Francis Kojo Innocent is General Manager of Methodist Schools and Vice President of COMET. He's here, yes. Honorable Musa Issa is Regional Director, Ghana TVET Service, Northern Region, Tamale. John Dazimensa is Director Accreditation of GTech. Frederick Addison is with the World Bank. Is he here? Okay, thank you. And Nana Ejei Yabua of Sendlos is also here. Paulgrave Boachidankwa is at the Ministry of Information and Government spokesperson on governance and security, representing the sector Minister Fatima Abubakar. If you're here, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be acknowledging the presence of others who have joined us. But first, let's welcome a spoken word performance by Marvelous Ano of Wesley Grammar College. Let's welcome Marvelous Ano with a round of applause.
Cocoa and other minerals. Free compulsory universal basic education was implemented in 2006, making primary education free and compulsory for all children aged 6 to 14. Young minds couldn't continue their second cycle education due to financial constraints. Dreams were shattered due to the high cost to attain knowledge. This increased illiteracy rate in the country. Out of pain and agony, Ghanaians wanted a change. Suddenly, a change took flight. Then came a savior with the free SHS policy. A savior who came with light in the midst of darkness. A savior who guaranteed the youth of a brighter future by implementing the free SHS policy. Setting up infrastructure and not forgetting STEM and robotics education in today's world of advanced modern technology. The millions of young people whose plight was how to further their education are now happy. Assuring them, even in the midst of hardship, that the future is bright. This is a man whose heart is pure and bold, dedicated in the quest to create holistic teaching and learning. Several reforms and initiatives have come on board. This includes, but not limited to, the introduction of new curriculum in 2019, focusing on critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity. There is also massive effort to improve teacher training and professional development. With regards to infrastructure development, government has put in several initiatives to improve school infrastructure, including the construction of new schools and the renovation of existing ones. This is a man whose immense love for students is immeasurable. With the endless support of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, all his dreams became a reality. And this man is none other than the erudite, the Honorable Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, our beloved Minister for Education. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome our dynamic and ever-ambitious Minister for Education, the erudite, the Honorable Dr. Yao Osei Educhum. A round of applause, please.
Thank you. Good morning to every one of you. Deputy Ministers, my own Deputy Minister, Reverend Ntim Fojo, Deputy Minister for Education and MP for Asin South, Deputy Minister for Works and Housing, Dr. Prince Ama, eminent clergy, colleague members of Parliament, Head of UNESCO, Vice Chancellors, Chief Director of the Ministry of Education, Nime, Name, Nananum, development partners, Big Wen, MasterCard Foundation, Head of Schools, and colleague teachers, parents, students, traditional authorities, faith-based organizations, community leaders, our teacher unions, Association of Private School representatives who are here, and our friends from the media, all other protocols duly observed. In Ghana, you have to be careful. So in case I didn't mention your name, all protocols have been observed. It's a great honor to be here this morning, to have the opportunity to tell the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo story in education transformation. Today, it's not a time for too much talk. I'll be doing an evidence-based communication because I know there are some who do not trust what the politicians say much. You've been waiting for action, and we'll provide the action. We'll provide the evidence to show you that here is a president who has gone beyond his manifesto commitment and has done more than he promised. A great accomplishment by all standards. We want to make sure that this nation's fortunes change for the better. Great strides have been made. We may not be where we want to be, but we are not where we used to be. And that evidence will be shown today. I'm grateful to the MC and moderator. Never thought I was going to be surprised by an introduction from the young lady who is so eloquent and exudes so much confidence. It's a symbol of what is right in the education system. I also like the prayer. And be careful what you say, because when you are not careful about what you say, your quotation may reflect in somebody's prayer. The headmistress of Labone quoted something I said in her prayer. So that was profound. I'm grateful to all of you for coming here this morning. Our distinguished shareholders in education, it is with great honor that I join my deputy minister in welcoming you again to this event. Number of you have provided guidance, others critique. Either way, we believe it has made us do our job better. African Education Watch, under the distinguished leadership of my brother Kofi Asare, has always provided insights, sometimes in support of what we do, sometimes divergent, yet it all helps us to do our job better. My brother Kofi Asare, we've heard you about dropout prevention and what we need to do in that space. So you have always talked about dropout and how we need to stem the tide of dropout in our schools. And I'm glad that the Ghana Education Service have agreed to take on this task by appointing dropout prevention coordinators in all districts of the Ghana Education Service to ensure that when we see the early signs of dropout, the prevention coordinators will visit families, visit communities to make sure students don't drop out before we start setting up GEOP to go and rescue them from their communities. We don't want children to drop out before we reintegrate them. So the dropout prevention coordinators are going to help do this job so that students don't drop out. The opportunity that has been presented to us as a nation in the area of free secondary education is an opportunity that should be extended to all. No child should drop out of school at the primary, junior, high school level. We will come and find you. We will work with you. We'll work with your parents to make sure you stay in school, to be part of the talent pool that this nation needs to transform its fortunes. We are in the fourth industrial revolution. The world as we know it is changing. Literacy, being literate, is a basic requirement. We cannot be counted among the countries with the highest learning poverty. The World Bank tells us that a number of countries in Africa are experiencing a crisis in education. In some countries, as many as 90% of the children aged 10 cannot read for understanding. Learning poverty. It is a scourge that a number of countries are facing. Ghana will flip the coin. Instead of 90% learning poverty, we want to make sure that 90% of our youth are proficient in reading and numeracy by age 10. That is why today I'm excited that we have begun communities of excellence. Nana Ansasa Sreku did us the honors a few months back when in his famous town of Manfi, we launched the Communities of Excellence program. Community of Excellence simply says that when you bring the community together, when you train the chiefs and the queen mothers and the assembly members to let them know of their responsibilities, they will partner government to ensure that 90% of our children, by the time they get to age 10, will read proficiently. And then 90% minimum will move on to secondary. And beyond secondary, 90% will move on to employable opportunities or become employed or move on to tertiary. So this is what we call the 90-90-90 plan. And I told Nana that Nana, if we're able to implement this very well in Manfi and other areas around the country, 10 to 20 years from now, when there's a funeral in your town, there will be cars everywhere. And they may not even find a place to park because the town, the village will have prospered. We have to make sure that through the community of excellence, everybody comes together so that we can take advantage of the opportunity that has been extended to us by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's government. Free secondary education is something that we have all heard about. Let us look at what is going on across the country in terms of the enrollment. We have done a fantastic job in terms of the number of students who are enrolled in secondary schools. In 2016, before the introduction of free secondary school, a little over 800,000 students were enrolled in senior high schools. Today, it's 1.4 million plus enrolled in our secondary schools. A great accomplishment. So as we prepare the youth through the community of excellence, they know that free senior high school is waiting for them. And this is the training that has been done in a number of communities who are part of the community of excellence. But we also should understand that, in spite of the opportunity for the youth to take advantage of the free senior high school, in some regions, we are having challenges. So when you hear of us talking about free, compulsory, universal secondary education, an enactment of an act to guide, protect free secondary education, we are talking about ensuring that no child had a choice to say, I will not go to secondary school, I will not go to technical school, I will not engage in a structured apprenticeship program, and somehow on my own, I'm not 18, but I'm not about to participate in the education process. There's emergence of a trend. Throughout the country, Northern region tops transition rate from junior high to high school. 95% of the youth in the northern region of Ghana move from junior high to high school. They have the highest score. Followed by Savannah and Northeast, 94%. Then these two regions are followed closely by Upper East with 92% transition rate. Next in line is Upper West with 89%. We have all the 5 northern region topping enrollment until then you see Bono East and Bono region emerging and coming, and with Greater Accra, Ashanti following. Then you go to Central region with enrollment in the 70s. Volta region with enrollment in the 70s. This trend should not be allowed to continue. Northern region 95%, Western is 81%, Bono is 86%, Eastern is 79%, Central is 77%, Greater Accra 87%, Ashanti 87%, Bono East 88%, Upper West 89%, Volta is 76%, Western North 77%, Upper East, I've already said, Ahafo is 82%, Savannah, Northeast, Oti is 84%. We don't believe that when the government provide the resources, a child should be able to say, I'm not going. So, Cabinet has approved proposal to enact a law that will say that there shall be free, compulsory, universal secondary education. Recently, I got the opportunity of launching a cybersecurity Internet of Things program at Wisconsin University. When we talk about the Internet of Things, it's affecting every facet of life in this fourth industrial revolution. You could speak to your room and the light will go off. You can speak to the room and the light will come on. The electricians who are doing this job cannot be the electricians of yesteryears who didn't know any aspect of programming. So the minimum qualification to participate in the fourth industrial revolution cannot be anything below secondary. So when you hear about the free secondary education, it's not about.
Well, this is Joy News X. Information reaching us is that the Court of Appeal has just acquitted and discharged the minority leader, Dr. Kaisel Atuforsen. Let's get details on that, and I will take you back to the Education Ministry press conference shortly. My colleague Benjamin Akapo is in the studio. Benjamin, what are we learning?
So what we're learning is that, there was a case before the Court of Appeal trying to find out about the viability of this case, whether there was a case or no case. Now, from what information we are gathering, that by a 3-2 decision, there's been a submission of no case on this. I just had an interaction with the spokesperson for the Attorney General's Department who says he has not seen the full ruling of the court and so doesn't want to get into the details of it, but he can confirm that there has been such a ruling by the Court of Appeal. The question is, what does this mean for the High Court process that was going on before Justice Ifeasewa? And those are the details that we need to get currently.
Just yesterday, we know that the Chief of Defense Staff was before the court as Richard Jakpa, the third accused in this case, subpoenaed him to appear before the court because the issue about how he was discharged and released from the service became an issue of contention because the AG had presented documentation before the court that suggests that he was dismissed on misconduct grounds. But unfortunately, that did not appear in the release letter that the CDS had a copy of. And the AG apparently did not even send a request to the CDS demanding his release letter. And that happened yesterday.
Just yesterday, it raised a number of questions, and now we're getting into this case again with the Court of Appeal putting a damper, so to speak, on this. But let's also hear from Latif Idris. He reports from court for us. He joins the conversation. Latif, good morning. What more can you tell us about this latest ruling, so to speak, of the Court of Appeal? What does it mean for the trial of Dr. Kaisel Atuforsen and the other accused before the High Court?
Well, so, Ben, this is a shattering news, particularly for the prosecution, and I'm referring to the Attorney General's Department, because the Attorney General's Department and prosecution, for that matter, had a window open to secure this 2.37 million euros that Richard Jakpa and Dr. Kaisel Atuforsen were said to have caused as a loss to the Republic of Ghana. They refused that offer and went on to prosecute Richard Jakpa and Dr. Kaisel Atuforsen in court on criminal grounds for causing financial loss to the state. Now, with this Court of Appeal ruling, it means Ghana has lost that chance of securing that 2.37 million euros, and Richard Japa and Dr. Casey Latoposin are going to work as 3 men on the streets of Accra from today, because what we expect to happen in court in the next 2 hours or even less is that the trial judge is going to announce this ruling by the
and
court
when you say
of
trial
appeal
judge, you mean
in court.
Justice
And
Efiasewa.
that will bring finality to the matter for Dr. Casey Latoposin and Richard Japa to walk free. Ben.
Right. We're also live on Joy 99.7 FM, bringing you this breaking story of the acquittal and, of course, the discharge of Dr. Casey Latoposin. But just to clarify with you, you were saying that in the coming hours, it would imply that Justice Efiasewa will then have to, give this notice, serve this notice at the High Court that this is indeed what has happened. Does it mean, technically, that Dr. Latoposin has been acquitted and discharged? But hold on to that. Let me just bring in Eduji Tamaklo. He's a member of the legal team of the NDC. Eduji Tamaklo, a very good morning to you. You are the director of the legal section of the NDC. Good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning, and good morning to your viewers.
It's good to have you join the conversation. This morning, there's been some anxiety, some lack of clarity on this matter. We want to hear from you. We hear the Court of Appeal has ruled 3-2 in favor of a submission of no case on the Dr. Casey Latoposin matter before it. Is that the reality, and what does that ruling mean for the High Court?
Okay, so what happened is that, as you are aware, when the prosecution called as many as, I think, 5 witnesses.
Indeed.
After they called, we did what, and they said they closed their case, we did what is called a submission of no case. Now, this submission of no case that we did, the judge ruled that a case has been made. And so, therefore, we should open our defense. Now, immediately the judge made the order that we should open our defense. We immediately appealed it. It is that appeal against the ruling on the submission of no case that was determined today. And in the wisdom of the majority, the decision by the trial court to ask us to open our defense was wrongful.
In other words,
That's what it is.
In other words, this means that the entire process that has taken place in the High Court, including yesterday's, cross-examination of the CDS and the third accused and all of that, it means all of that
aborted.
Aborted.
Yes, sir.
I see. What then happens to the High Court, Justice Efiasewa? What will be the next moves we can expect of her in the coming hours then?
I have no idea.
Once the Court of Appeal delivers...
The orders of the Court of Appeal is what stands.
Yes, but I'm asking, once the Court of Appeal has ruled in this manner, what will follow from the High Court?
That ends it. Bound to comply.
So it means, technically, legally speaking, that the case is dead and as Casey Latoposin acquitted, discharged. That's what it means.
That's what the court said.
In an instance like this, since you appealed in a submission of no case, which now the Court of Appeal has upheld, can this case be taken further? And you know where I'm going, to the apex court, the Supreme Court.
I don't know what can happen.
But it's a possibility, right?
Legally, anybody can decide to do whatever.
So you're basically saying that legally, the Attorney General's Department could decide to take it a step further to the apex court.
I don't speak for them.
No, but you're a lawyer. I mean, technically, that could be done, right?
Look, I just want to limit my conversation to what has happened today.
Right.
What will happen tomorrow next? I don't know. Do you know?
Well, I don't. But I know that technically, in the legal sense, that could be done. So from the end of, since...
Benjamin, why were you asking me if you knew it?
Well, I just wanted to hear from you as well, Eduji Tamaklo. But how much of a victory is this for you in the NDC, especially as you've represented some of the parties in this case?
I want to thank the Almighty God for snatching my client from the jaws of prosecution, and to thank the distinguished judges who today, in their conclusion, indicated that they have to demonstrate fidelity to the law. We are exceedingly grateful to them. I say no more.
Just a final bit of clarity for us before you go. So does this also mean, like our court correspondent was saying, that the 2.37 million, or at least what had been proffered to be paid by the accused, it means the state is going to lose that money and they are also going to be free because the AG decided not to accept?
Who said the accused should pay 2-point-something million?
I know that there was some voluntary payments that was put forward and the AG's department rejected it. Is that not the case?
I'm not interested in that conversation.
I'm just asking, but you know of something of the sort, aren't you?
The Attorney General,
Don't you?
Attorney General have a choice. We are all responsible for the choices we make.
No, but I'm just trying to. So that means that money has been lost, right?
I don't want to. Really.
All right. Thank you very much. Eduji Tamaklo is head of the legal team of the NDC. We did have Lateef Idris on the line. I just wanted clarity on that point. Lateef Idris, are you still with us?
I'm with you, Ben.
Lateef, so you heard Eduji on that matter. Does it mean we've lost the sum of money that the accused were willing to pay?
Yes, so Eduji is a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. He's a lawyer. He doesn't want to run in that particular territory. But if you recall, this was a proposal put forth by Bixby and Richard Japa. They made it to the Attorney General or prosecution for that matter that they were willing to pay the 2.37 million back to the state. The state rejected that offer and went ahead to prosecute them, put them before court for causing financial loss to the state. In the terrain of legality, we do not know.
Well, thank you, Lateef. Unfortunately, we seem to have lost connection to you. If you're watching NewsX now, just bringing you some update on the court case between Arthur Forson and the state. He has been discharged and acquitted. Thank you, Benjamin Akabo, for bringing us that update. What would this mean for Richard Jakpa and his case in the court? That is something we're going to explore in subsequent bulletin. But let me take you back to the Education Minister's press conference. Let's listen in.
They are about to move into this, and I know there will be celebration in the town when school opens and the children walk into a facility like this. All across the country, many towns. Sometimes we hear of the challenges there through the district director. All right, now let's move on. This is Asempa Neye. Asempa Neye. Translate the name. It makes you feel good. Good news is good, right? So this is truly good news. So in a number of communities, we want to make sure that change comes, and change comes rapidly. We have to move the children from somehow, sometimes it's not just 19th century, so 16th century. I have for mine, look at what the building was and where it is now. You look at other school. This was a demonstration school. Truly, demonstration. Now look at what the school is like. Azan was like this, by the roadside. Show and tell. So Yellow Krobo passed by the roadside, and this was Azan. This is it. Now, Azan Basic School, they have a WC and a number of places. This is a school called Nagode, in the town called Nagode, near Nyinahini. When school begins in September, this will be completed, and that will be their school. All across the country, before and after, in Tefrewaso, that was the classroom block before. Now you see, at Tobiase, this was the classroom block. Now you see. So for all those who talk about the government has abandoned basic schools, not true. We have rather taken giant steps to make sure Apewusika, Breme, these are all new buildings across the country that has been done. And we'll continue to do more. We cannot leave out the rural child and expect only the urban children to benefit from government intervention. We need to tap into the talent pool of all Ghanaians so that we have the critical mass that can lead the transformation of our country. It is in our interest that every child benefit from quality education. But we know education goes beyond infrastructure. That's why I'm super excited that for the first time in our history, you need a bachelor's degree to teach, even in the kindergarten. First group of students who graduated are going to start their teaching career soon. As they prepare to go through the processing process, they recently applied, they selected the communities where they want to be, and the application process is ongoing to put them in a place where they will be able to teach our children and ensure that we meet 21st century standards. In alignment with this, a number of schools at the junior high school level have received computers from the government. We are equipping junior high schools through the Basic STEM initiative so that in communities we'll be able to ensure that they have a fully equipped lab to ensure that they also can learn ICT and other skills that are required of them. We are going to be distributing robotic kits under the Basic STEM program to a number of schools to ensure that all children will benefit from the government's intervention. The history of Ghana is replete with examples of various government innovations and interventions. And we want to make sure that we continue this stride. At the senior high school level, we have a number of model STEM schools distributed across the country. Awaso STEM Senior High School, Accra High School STEM Center, Kwase STEM High School in the Bono, Bomosu Eastern Pasempe, and there's the Bomosu School with the science labs that are there. It's operationalized. It's a full STEM high school. Awaso is one of the fascinating stories. A new school built in Awaso, and look at the environment. In case you hear somebody saying, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has not built a single school. I remember going through my vetting in Parliament, and I was asked, name one school that your government has built. I said, he said, one? He said, yes, just name one. And I said, Bosomtwe Girls. Because you asked me for one. Yeah, Bosomtwe Girls are at the back there. And I said, if you say one, I'll give you one. But we've done so much. Your tax cedis have been used to your benefit. Awaso, Pasempe, go and see the students doing experiments. This is not about two poor pass and forget. That era is over. This is about a place where children are innovating. Now I'll show you examples of innovating by Ghanaian children. We're leading the world in STEM education. And I think it's something that should continue, and we truly show the world the African child is capable of innovating and creating something that other nations may not have dreamt of. So this is the learning environment, practical learning environment, as espoused in the Anamwa Mensa committee report, that science teaching should be practical. Now it's happening. Anamwa Mensa committee, all the things that they talked about, it became a policy document. When I was in my PhD program, my professor, Dr. William Randall, said something profound. He said in Africa, the road to hell is paved with policy. He said when you go to various African countries, they've written fine policies, but nobody intended to implement it. So from 2002, Anamwa Mensa Committee gazetted in 2004, and now the implementation is happening. This, the Accra High STEM Center, I think we've talked about it. So when you look at what has been done, this in Ashanti region, they are finishing up next academic year, it will be opened. You see, there are so many facilities here that in some jurisdictions, like in America, this will be a community college and not a high school. In fact, Akrodie was so much advanced in terms of facilities, now it's going to be a University of Engineering and Applied Sciences. So all across the country, you're going to see facilities like this. This in keeping with the president's commitment that Ghanaian children should be educated to participate in the fourth industrial revolution. Now, let's move on. So, you're going to see all these facilities. We are also working on the Creative Arts High School in Kumasi, which is going to get students from across the country interested in creative arts. That is going to be a school that is second to none, because this is where the next generation of creative artists will be trained for our country and for the world. To me, it's Ghana to the world. Our artists should be the best you can find anywhere in the world, and we're going to take a conscious effort to educate them so they can move on and showcase Ghana and bring critical resources back into our country. We have seen various interventions in education. The 1987 education reform gave us the junior high school. Now, the junior high school, unfortunately, as you can see from various schools that I've shown you, find themselves in the old middle school buildings, run down, dilapidated, which in effect diminish our education system. We used to have 7-year secondary. Then it became 3. We jettisoned 4 and put the lower secondary, which is supposed to be secondary, by the way, in dilapidated structures. So when you hear of the free compulsory universal basic secondary education and the secondary education bill, we want to rectify that. Junior high school cannot continue to be part of the basic education system. It should be part of the secondary education system, giving us an effective 6-year secondary education. So the facilities that you see here, these are high school laboratories. Junior high schools are going to have same. So look at this. Across the length and breadth of Ghana, new science labs have been built in existing schools and in new schools. Aburi Girls, I see Aburi Girls, I see Okuapimai, I see Kumasi High School, I see Aflao Community Senior High School. These are all schools with new science lab, fully equipped with the necessary gadgets so that they can do science experiments. So it's no longer a science program where we're expecting students to memorize some data for us. These are Hantamine girls. If you go and see the kind of work the students are doing, it makes you know that things are changing in Ghana. This is Aburi Girls. Kumasi High School. Kumasi Anglican. St. Louis Senior High School. This is Aflao. So in a number, Wesley Girls also have a fully equipped science labs, 6 of them. If you don't have it in your old school, understand that it's coming. Aburi. Some of you are saying it's coming. When? Don't worry, it will come. You help me break the 8, and it comes. This Okuapimai. In a number of places, I've been to the schools, so I can just look at the images and I remember the school where the lab is. So these are the things that are happening across the length and breadth of Ghana. Post-COVID, our country is making investment in education. Not just at the secondary education level, at the primary level, we are making investment. At the junior high school level, we are making investment. I want to assure Ghanaians that the free senior high school will continue to be implemented the way it should be. Enrollment has increased. I think we've talked about that. And I'm sure it will continue to increase this year. With a 505, 1,000 students enrolled in Form 1 this academic year. The next academic year, we might see an increase. But one of the exciting things is that we have attained gender parity. In fact, there are more girls than boys. Some guy didn't want to show that. So he said 50-50. If you look at the real numbers, there are more girls than boys in our high schools. Before free senior high school, for every 100 boys, you had 68 girls. Because parents were making some unfortunate decisions where, when they have limited resources, things are difficult for them, they choose between the boy and the girl, and then the boy gets selected. Then the girl can go and learn some trade, and the boy gets to go to secondary school. So when the cost barrier was removed, then all of a sudden, you have a situation where more girls are going to reflect the general population. So Ghana is one of the few countries in sub-Saharan Africa that have attained gender parity in secondary education. Now, you also hear other people talk about the free senior high school had diminished education outcomes. And sometimes when I hear that, I say, what kind of planet do they live on? Free senior high school has somehow destroyed education. Now that the poor gets the opportunity to go, everything is bad because the poor is in the room. We need to bring everybody on board. Let's look at the data and judge for ourselves. In 2015, 45.2% of our students got a credit score in English language. 45.2, 2015. Fast forward, 2023, 73.11% have A1 to C6. Let's go to 2015, integrated science, 28.7, 966.82. And look, mathematics, 32.4 is 62.23. Social study, 57.4, 76.76. And in case you are saying it's just 1 year, probably by accident. No. Look, from 2020, as the free senior high school students began to graduate, there's not a single year where any subject has been below 50%. All the ones that are red was when the subject was below 50%. After 2020, you don't see red. I congratulate the teachers of Ghana, headmasters for their hard work, and for their determination even through COVID. They came back, they worked hard, and their students did well. And somebody will say, why is that so? In case you have forgotten, once upon a time, before exams, students were kicked out of school to go and get their school fees before they would write the exam. There's a famous video. If it's here, we can watch it. Maybe it's not here. Of the headmaster, former headmaster of Aquinas, so angry and kicking out his students that they should get out of the school because he doesn't want to get into trouble with the Public Accounts Committee. That they would drag him before the Public Accounts Committee that his students are owing school fees. He kicked them out. And he was happy that the children were out. He was obliged to do so, and he did it. Now, headmasters, caring headmasters, as you all are, you don't have to go through that uncomfortable moment. When you know that student that you are sending home is not going to get the money, but you are forced to send the student home. When it's time for WASSIN, registration, you have parents who cannot afford and therefore their children cannot write the exam. That was the Ghana now. Then, the Ghana now, children have the peace of mind to study. When school opens, they come in their numbers because nobody is asking them to show receipt at the door of the dining hall before they can enter. Students are not being driven away from boarding houses, from dormitory blocks, and therefore, they have to concentrate on their studies. We also made sure that textbooks were distributed. This is the outcome of your investment, and you have to congratulate yourself for it, that you made the right investment in the children of Ghana. And the outcomes are there. 2 years ago, 2 out of the 3 top performing students in West Africa were from Ghana. 2 of them happened to be, all the 2 years ago happened to be from St. James. St. James Seminary and High School in Sunyani. This past year, 2023, 3 out of the 3 were from Ghana. Two of them, once again, were from St. James. And one happened to be from Laboni. So the woman with a powerful prayer, she said a prayer, and she got one of the students. This is celebration. This is what we mean a return on investment that is commendable. Let's move on to the next slide. These are all the infrastructure that we have developed. And I think we don't have the time to go through every one of them, but this is across the length and breadth of Ghana. In Kwanta North District, a number of places where E-blocks are being completed. But let me bring you back to Accra, Greater Accra region, where you can see an example of transformation of public schools. Community schools that will start from kindergarten all the way to high school. If you happen to live in near East Legon, you're going to see a community school, a public school that is just like or better than a public school you may see in any advanced country. Those who are working on, yes, this is Accra STEM Academy. When completed, looks like this. And with the interior decorations, you're going to see a new kind of a school. You're going to really, when you enter the building, see the reception area that is being worked on now. Yes, this is the reception area. I think parents will want your children here. So imagine first day sending your children to this school and you are not being asked to pay school fees. That is the Ghana you deserve. That is the Ghana we are creating. A Ghana where teachers and nurses and judges and everyone will send their children to public schools. A Ghana where the children of judges and children of laborers will sit in the same classroom and study together and form friendship. That is the kind of Ghana Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has laid the foundation for. That is the Ghana that Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia wants to create. We have begun. And the story is not going to end here. Communities across the country are going to see buildings like this In large towns and small towns, new school facilities will be built. Here you have 5-story buildings on 5-story building with elevator. Everything that you see in any school around the world is here. This is a school that I visit almost every other day. I want to make sure that this is done. And the legacy of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and his vice president will be seen through the walls of this school. As you enter the school, you go inside and see the things that have been installed. Bringing the children, the kitchen, the lab, the dining hall. All the things that needs to be in any school anywhere in the world is here. We will no longer continue to excuse poverty. We'll rather be innovative and look at how we can create a better nation for all. Nation where the rich and the poor can be educated in quality learning environment. A nation where we can truly say there's freedom and justice. A nation where we'll continue to build on our strengths and minimize our weakness. Create a more cohesive nation. A nation where all of us will say that we are preparing ourselves for the future. Each his brother's keeper. Each his sister's keeper. And we are not stopping the story in the transformation as you see. But in the area of TVET, there has been a major transformation. Starting with the days where TVET in about 7 ministries, coming to now where under the leadership of Honorable Yao Safumafu, all TVET institutions in various ministries were moved and brought to the Ministry of Education. A TVET service has been created, got its first Director General. Now you see Abetifi Technical Institute with support from the government of Austria. New equipment is here, and this is how the children are learning. This is the Ghana we want, and this is the Ghana we need to create. So when the children live here and they are employed in any industry, they have worked on those machines that they are going to be working on in industry. This is the TVET of the present and the future, not the TVET of yesteryears. This is what you see at Accra Applied Technology Center. A new TVET, the students are here, yes, I know. Comboni Technical and Vocational Institute have new facilities. St. Paul Technical School has new facilities. Cape Coast Technical Institute has new facilities. Asham and Technical Vocational Institute have been revamped. And you know, all the equipment that you want to see in every TVET institution is here. Our TVET world is changing. We may not have been able to transform every one of them, but we have made giant strides. We are on the right path. The story of Ghanaian TVET, moving from this environment to that environment, is something that we as a nation should be proud of. So in case you hear us, the politicians, doing our worst, saying that nothing good is happening in the country, here is your evidence. The evidence that we are making giant strides. Young ladies who are working on heavy machinery at the East Legon Applied Technical Institute. A number of them have been taken on as interns in vehicle assembling plants in Ghana. Some of them have even secured jobs out of their schools. We have also embarked on a major transformation of education through the Center for Distance Learning and Open Schooling. Next academic year, we're going to, for the first time, have an online school, online high school. People who have been left behind can now enroll online, go to high school education, and also get their certificate. We need to make sure we carry everyone along. Through Sendlos, we're going to be launching next month our Ministry of Education TV station. So there'll be 24/7 programming. They've even procured a van that can go to various locations and broadcast live for the country to see. Very soon, we'll be telling our own story. The story of transformation will be seen at the MOE TV station. Digitalization has also found space in education. And now you have high school students getting tablets. 1 tablet, 1 student. The distribution is on course. 1 student, 1 tablet is an innovation that has come and is moving on course. I was with the vice president at Opokuwari, where the smart classroom block was launched. And you can go and see the kind of tools and equipment that are there. And it was a great day. And that is what you're going to see being replicated in our high schools across the country. The distribution of the tablets are ongoing. The images, these are the junior high schools. Move on to high school, please. These are junior high school classrooms with tablets. I think I mentioned it earlier, that they're also getting tablets that they can use. This is Opokuwari School in Kumasi. This is how the classroom looks like. See, the instructor is teaching. The smart board is there. Every student is on their tablet. This is the present and the future of education in Ghana. A number of schools have received their devices. It's just amazing to see how the students are focused. The new curriculum that is being implemented in high schools is being trial tested and full implementation is coming. All the textbooks are going to be loaded onto the tablet. So they are all e-books. And it's going to be fascinating as we train teachers to teach in an e-environment. Curriculum and Assessment, NACA, have done some great things. The new curriculum is going to come out soon. On teacher professionalization, and we have worked with various schools. GES have done a fantastic job establishing what is called professional learning communities. And I salute our teachers for investing time in their training and making sure they will equip themselves to lead the charge and transform our schools for now and the future. The story will not end without touching on tertiary education. In the tertiary education space, 6 universities are going to be open by the end of the year. The construction is completed, and we have the bills in Parliament, and the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education is going to be working on them so that we can get the act that will establish them. Beginning with University of Engineering and Applied Sciences at Akrodie in Ahafo. We have University of Engineering Applied Science at Akrodie, University of Engineering and Agricultural Science at Bunso, University of Health, Agriculture and Life Science at Kintampo, University of Mampong in Ashanti region, and then we have the Local Governance and Leadership University. It's also coming. There's Sports, University for Sports Development is also coming. So these are tertiary education institutions, and the whole goal is to make sure that we can increase the gross tertiary enrollment ratio of Ghana. When you look at the total number of students enrolled compared to the age bracket of 18 to 22, you're able to measure what is called the gross tertiary enrollment ratio. Ghana is now about 22. Countries that have totally transformed themselves get to about 50 for that to happen. So we have a long way to go, but we can get there. There's a bold agenda that by 2030, we should be able to hit 40% gross tertiary enrollment ratio. The moment we get that, things change in your country. It is seen around the world. Countries that have transformed themselves make sure they have the critical mass with critical minds to change their country. And you cannot do that without increasing your gross tertiary enrollment ratio. In the tertiary space, we also have no guarantor policy. I see the Student Loan Trust Fund executive director here, my younger brother Nuhum. And the kind of thing that they are doing there, which was started by Nana Ejeyebua, is that you don't need a guarantor to get a loan. And that is a watershed moment for our nation. A number of times you have students who needed a loan, but they needed somebody who can guarantee for them. And if their parents don't have pensions, how do they get a guarantor? It was a big problem. Now we also have TVET at technical universities. Various science labs have been built, and university bills that we submitted. Open University is also coming. It's an exciting moment that we can have an open university. You can do courses online through correspondence and be able to get a degree, just like the person who go and sit at University of Ghana or at KNUST or other universities. Cape Coast Technical University, these are the labs. And it's fascinating when you go there and see a 2-story building built by the president with lab equipment at every floor for engineering. Case STU, same thing. Then my favorite one, pre-engineering. I tell the story of Kojo Mensah. Kojo Mensah is a young man who had a dream. In that dream, he was talking to God. God was talking and said, Kojo, you are going to be the best engineer in the world. Kojo Mensah said, God, it's not possible. And God said, I created you, Kojo. Why are you telling me it's not possible for you to become the best engineer in the world? He said, God, you know something? I'm a young man growing up in Ghana, and I'm doing visual arts in high school. Nobody will allow me to become an engineer. But what Kojo didn't know was that if he was to travel to America, he was the one that the universities would love to become an engineer, because they will equip him, help train him with mathematics and physics, and once he can pass his math and physics courses, they want Kojo to be the engineer, because the best engineers are the ones who can imagine and create. Now in Ghana, Kojo Mensah doesn't have to be in America in order for that to happen. At University of Mines and Technology, UMAT, and Pentecost University, they now allow students who did not do science but have creative energies to come in, and then they allow them to take courses in mathematics and physics and chemistry for 1 year, intensive. And after they pass the end line exams, they are allowed to pursue engineering. Nothing can stop a determined person from becoming who he really wants to be. A number of times our youth don't get adequate counseling. They follow their friends and say science is so hard. Then they go into home economics, they go into visual arts, they do other things. Then when they want to decide to change, we, the adults, tell them that no, you will never be able to change. If you wanted to do engineering, why didn't you do science? You are coming here to tell us that you did home economics and you want to be an engineer. We project our inabilities onto the child who is determined. Instead of saying, you have to do physics, can you? So, okay, I can do it. Because you see, if you do science for 3 years, because of the other core subject, somebody who comes and do science intensive 1 year for just 3 subjects has the same level of content as the person who did it for 3 years together with all the other courses. Because when they come, they are not doing the core subjects any longer. They are just focusing on the physics, the chemistry, and the math. And therefore, when they pass the exam, just like anybody else, they should be able to do engineering and do it so well. I'm glad to hear that at UMAT, the Vice Chancellor tells me the students who came through pre-engineering in most of the courses are doing better than those who did science. These are determined students. Some of them went to schools where they could not do science, like myself. When I went to Jache Pramso Senior High School, there was no science courses there. You only did biology or general agric. And there are still some schools in that situation, which we are changing. But if that student wants to be an engineer, went to a school where he didn't get the opportunity, if you allow them, he will prove you wrong. And these young men and women are proving us wrong. In fact, the good news is that in these classes, you almost have gender parity. In your regular engineering course, you are not going to have as many young women that you have in this pre-engineering program. We are grateful to BOST for giving us the opportunity to sponsor a number of students for the pre-engineering. And it's working. And I'm grateful that we could do that with the universities. So GTech, working with the universities, have done a fantastic job enabling these students who otherwise wouldn't have found themselves in engineering classrooms to go there, to become software engineers, to become mechanical engineers, to become computer engineers, and do so many things for our society. The visual artist, by the way, is my favorite kind of person. Engineering came from art, but now the person who can draw cannot be an engineer. The most creative minds we have in the country are the visual artists. About 70,000 of them graduate from our high schools every year. Some universities will say, you cannot even come here and do any other subject unless you want to do art. We cannot leave these creative minds behind. We need to encourage them, and where there's a deficiency, we need to make sure we provide them the support so that they can move into the mainstream of society. If they find value in what they are doing in art, that is great. They can also continue because they felt that holds great promise. But if they want to change, we should give them the opportunity to change. Critical thinking is an aspect that we are all concerned about. We are concerned about a situation where it's about memorization. That kind of education system will not change our fortunes as a nation. Even if all children go to school, I will give them all the opportunity, and the exams is just testing them at the remember, understand, and apply level. It's not going to be. The new BECE is shifting the paradigm. If you're a parent, maybe your children may have told you the exams was hard. It was intentional. 40% of the questions were from level 4, 5, and 6. This is in education. It's called the New Bloom's taxonomy. Any teacher who is teaching have to use this to guide in writing their lesson plans. And if you don't use this, you may use what is called Webb's depth of knowledge. In each one of them, you have to look at how do you get the children to think critically. If all your questions are talking about define, list, repeat, state, the lowest level of learning, that is not the kind of place we want to be in order to create the critical minds to change Ghana. If you just say classify, describe, discuss, report, low level. If you are saying use the information to demonstrate application, you are not there yet. It is when you move up and say produce new or original work, assemble, construct, conjecture, develop. For example, if you are teaching pollution, if you ask the student to create a city without pollution, they are creating. In countries that have transformed their fortunes, that is the level where they are challenging the student to perform. They are challenging the student to justify a stand, to draw connections among ideas. Your exams will have 60% of that and 40% of the low level. That is how you change your country. So we are very much interested in the exam that is being set by WAEC. We are not going to allow a situation where the tail is wagging the dog. If the country wants to create critical minds, our examination system cannot be the examination system that enables students to memorize and pass. That era is over. So our teachers are going to them be encouraged to teach differently. Allow the student to be comfortable in your environment. Set the rules so that they cannot misbehave. But allow them to participate in the teaching and learning. We cannot tame our children and get them to be so quiet in our presence. Also, that child is so good. Oh, when he comes to my class, if you don't ask her to talk, she will not talk. She's so quiet. In this environment, gifted and talented students are the most miserable. Research have shown that between 6 to 10% of the population are gifted or they are talented. The gifted are the ones who are so smart and sharp. They'll get 100% on the exams. You teach them once and they get everything. They are gifted. If we do not introduce gifted and talented education in Ghana, those children become miserable because they don't conform to the norm. They don't easily take notes from the teacher. Their mind works differently. A number of times they are more likely to drop out because they can't keep up with the drudgery in the classroom. So one of the things that we are working on now that is going to cabinet for approval is the introduction of gifted and talented education in Ghana. Those individuals with gifts should be provided an environment where they will blossom. South Korea has done it, and the results are there for all to see. America has done it for years, and the result is there for you to see. When you pick those talented ones, the ones who can dance, the ones who can lead, the ones who can create some equipment that nobody has even taught them to do, if you put them together with those who are super sharp in one environment and you nurture and grow them, they are the ones who change the course of history of your country. A number of times I receive something on WhatsApp that said, look at these students. Can we find him a technical school? Because he's so good. He has even built a Prajia. He has built something. And I'm saying to myself, yes, the technical school is good. But if you don't put that child in a gifted environment and talented environment, he will get bored at the technical school. Because the technical school, we're going to teach to the average. Enhance teaching and learning for gifted and talented students is something that will shift the paradigm for us as a nation. And that is going to be one of the last innovations Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is going to bring to the Ghanaian education system. So, you know, I'm a teacher and politician. In both professions, if you don't like to talk, you lose your job. So I always remind myself, when my time is up, I see it. I don't even have to look at the MC. I get a signal from within that the time is up. And we'll wrap up with my favorite kindergarten in Ghana, Adome Kwabenya. Look at the children. We are building a number of them like this. This ICT empowered, built by BSW, of course paid for by the government, it's an Israeli company. And if you go to Dome Kwabenya, and it's free, this is free. And look at that. This is the Ghana you want. A working parent can drop off your children early morning and know that they are in safe hands and they are being taught 21st century way. And unless you want to donate to the school, they won't ask you to pay anything. I believe middle class should have a break. After you pay your taxes, we, the government, should provide you quality learning environment so that you don't spend about 30% of your income in paying school fees. Your taxes should mean something to you. And this is a clear demonstration of what we are telling Ghanaians that we are capable of doing. That will create this positive, creative learning environment for your children. And you can come here knowing that the taxes that you paid is working for you. This is the new paradigm. I'll end with just one thing. An innovation by the girls of Afia Kubi Ampem, senior high school in Ashanti region. What they did have shocked the world. Yeah, the KG people don't want to leave. When we talk innovation, We talk. Girls who are doing some marvelous things. From Sewa Nyakon, you go to Manfi Methodist girls. Now you go to Efiakubi. It's a fascinating story. I'm not sure if they are in the audience today. I invited them, but maybe they couldn't make it. There's a girls' school in Ashanti region that is doing some marvelous things. I'll move on to, they have, in fact, a tarmac. And they call this the Ukraine field. And I said, Ukraine field? You want the Russians to come after you? So this is their drone. And it's fascinating. We showed this in France and the World Club for Ghana. So you see, it's gone. You see, it didn't fall down. They just fast-tracked it so that it will land shortly. Otherwise, it took about 15 minutes, and then it came back to land. The students who did this, a number of them are not science students. One geography student, a young lady, told me, the minister, they are running away. See, it came back to land. This is the new Ghana. The young lady told me a fascinating story. He said, Minister, I'm doing geography. And I'm using longitudes and latitudes to program the drone so that it will find its direction back to where we sent it from. Longitudes and latitudes. Geography is helping. These young ladies do the impossible. I tell you this. Our nation education system is stronger and better than we came to find it 7 years ago. There are so many images. Let me conclude. It's better than we came to find it. It's better because the president gave us the free hand to innovate and transform the education space. I was first a deputy minister. And the minister in charge of the ministry at the time was Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. I worked under him. I got my chance and became the minister. I continued the work that the president did during the first term. Move on to the second term. Bring me back to the story of how he met me in America. And he asked me, whilst I was developing schools there, building schools in Los Angeles, with about 200 workers that I paid every month in charter schools. These are public-private schools. And the government paid for every student who came to my school. He asked me, would you come back to Ghana and help me change the education system? Today I feel fulfilled that I left what I was doing there. 3 schools in Los Angeles, and they are still functioning. I left and came because I saw sincerity in his voice. When he told me, he was not president then, he told me, I want to introduce free secondary education. And Americans were the first to do free secondary education. Can you bring your expertise back to Ghana to help me do it? I came because I had grown up in an environment where I was just fortunate to go to secondary school. My dad, a cocoa farmer, I won't say he was poor, but he had a cash flow problem. It was September. Cocoa had not been harvested and dried yet. No money to pay 40 cedis. Things were very difficult. My younger brother had an idea. He could sell a pig that he had, that had been given to him by my uncles. He was taking care of their piggery. He said, my brother, I can't see you sitting at home. I'm selling this pig so that you can go. We sold the pig, we got 42 cedis. I was able to pay my deposit at Jache Pramso Senior High School. And I moved into secondary school so super excited. Through this intervention by my brother, I find myself subsequently in the United States of America, sponsored by that same brother, and developed schools in America. So when the president asked me, would you consider coming back, my mind went back to the opportunity I got from my brother, which others did not get. And I said to myself, if this man becomes president and he wants every child to get the opportunity that I got from my brother, why don't I go back? And that is why I came back to Ghana. I've come to meet a grateful nation at the airport, in many other public places. People come to me and say, thank you for your service to Ghana. That is worth more than anything I can get from my job. It's worth more than anything when a politician walking on the streets accosted by an ordinary Ghanaian and say, we thank you for your service to Ghana. Ghanaians, as you watch this, I'm grateful to every one of you. I'm grateful for your support. I'm grateful for your prayers. You've made me feel appreciated in this country. I have no regrets coming back to Ghana because I've come to a grateful nation. Come to a place where, under the vision of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, we can truly change the course of history of our nation. To the President of the Republic, I'm eternally grateful. You gave me a chance, and I hope I have not disappointed you. I've taken directions from you. I've done what is expected, and I believe history will judge you kindly. That you are a president who cared for the people of your nation, and you did your very best to turn around the fortunes of your nation. You've given me some workaholic deputy ministers. This young man, Reverend Tim Fojo, and now another one, Dr. Kinsley Nyakon, they all work hard. They crisscross the nation when there are events. On a short notice, you call them and they are running from one place to the other, supporting me so that the dream of the president will become a reality. To the vice president who has been so supportive, helpful to me, helpful to my cause, and helpful to the cause of the nation, I'll forever be grateful. Chief Director, head of agencies, every one of you have done a fantastic job. Headmasters, some of you call me out of the blue. Say, Minister, we are checking on you. You make me feel so good that you have headmasters who care about you. Education committee, chairman, ranking, members of the committee, and all the work that you do every single day to support our ministry's cause. Traditional leaders who always will respond to our call and come and support us. To every one of you watching, I want you to know that a new Ghana has been established. We are moving on. Change has begun. Change will continue. We're going to get into a nation where there will be opportunity for all, a robust middle class, going through universities, making sure you do relevant courses, helping you to secure jobs, innovating ourselves out of poverty. This, I hope, will be the Ghanaian story in the years ahead. God bless us all.
We can definitely do better.